So you've established that you've got to have the right pulse and playing on the downstrokes. The downstrokes of your hand have got to be on the pulse. We can mess around with, we can change the timing of the pulse, we can change the subdivision of the pulse, but the hand has to strum down on the pulse. If you find yourself strumming up on a down pulse, you're screwed. And that was what the first video was about. This is about what happens with the right hand. So first thing is that with a chord line, a single chord line, you've got to have that chord line in your memory. It's A minor G, F, G. This is the spelling phase, and you can have it written down somewhere and you can refer to it, but you don't look at it visually while you're playing. You don't read it from anywhere while you're playing. If you get halfway through and forget it, you can then retrieve it off your piece of paper, push your piece of paper away and go it again. And you've got to keep doing that till you can play through the sequence without forgetting it. You know, it's easy to do, but it's easy to forget these things. But unless you build this ability up, you'll get nowhere. You know. So let's assuming that you know it's A minor G, F, G, but now you're in a spelling phase. You know, you're calling, and your memory's calling it. It's retrieving the shape. Your fingers are going to the shape. So this is all disruptive stuff. But this video is a little preamble to the thing we've been using all term in the class, because there's 4 steps to it, isn't there? There's step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, then back to step 1 again. It's 4 steps, 3 chords. We can lose the G chord. We can lose the G chord and make it a strum of the open strings while we're in the middle of changing between A minor and F. So we lose the G chord. We still have to put the strum in, because the F and the G, the F and the A minor and the F, have still got to land on the same beats as the 4th chord line. So we end up with these open string spaces. So we do this. The only thing about the open strings is it sounds not too good with the A in, but you can get away with that, but you don't want the E string in, and if you can, damp off that as well. All of that's part of you constructing a physical action, because the damping is part of the physical action. So if you're going to damp, you have to teach your hand to damp in time, and then damp again. And I'm doing it just by squeezing this with my palm of my fingers. Look, that's an action that you have to develop. But you develop the action from a desire to produce a certain sound, not just a sequence of instructions that I'm giving you. You know the reason for it. You don't want the string to ring, so you damp. And it produces a slightly different sound content, because without the damping you end up with. And if you have a tendency to play F and let that string ring, you don't want that either. This is one action. Sorry, this is one action. And this is the other action. You can't see much on this hand, but you can hear this string disappearing. So you know there's damping involved. Now the damping is extra factors, extra things to do in the action, and you have to work on that. I tell you what to do, then you work on it. If you can't solve it, I help. This is the process, because there's too many instructions for you to deal with, even in a spelling phase. Okay, and it all comes back to what sound's coming out of your guitar. So you got this. So you work on. And you just do it till the actions become automatic. So you're not thinking, I'm making mistakes myself, but you're not really thinking about what your hand's doing. I don't like that again, so I'll damp it off, sorry. And you can hear the contour now. Until you can play this with your ear, so you're doing these actions which are kind of, your body doesn't hear, your finger hasn't got a little ear, and your arm and your, hasn't got an ear, but your head's got an ear. So this combination of physical action that produces a sound, physical action on both hands that are required to produce a sound, and then your ear is going into your ear, and then your mind is listening to it and going, that's fine, that's what I'm looking for, or no, this string's ringing too much, we've got to sort it out. But because until you can hear the contour, you're screwed. So that's the job, and you just keep doing it over and over and over again. I wouldn't recommend doing it for anything more than short periods, little and regular, as you know. But that's the thing. I'll stay, because the next one will be about the multiple video variant and the different rhythm patterns in the full song versions. But to get from here, this will give you the basic action and the contour. Sorry, I keep playing the G. It should be just open. Sorry, so it should be A minor, open, and then back to A minor. Once that feels okay, to get it closer to W-TOWE-R, it'd be 2 strums per chord, so it'd be. And again, make sure you don't play this. Just 2 strums per chord. The odd mistake is okay, but you remember that you're now hearing this thing as a whole thing as a contour, which starts here. Then you hear the whole thing until you come back to starting the next one, and you're doing that. So I have 2 strums. If I go to the odd G, I've got to apologise, but that's just me. And that also produces a contour. And the point is once you've spaced the changes out, so it gives you more time to think. But the final thing each one of these stages is a fair jump on, but they're reachable. You can see the jump that you've got to make from the point you get to in the previous stage. It's not like it's beyond the horizon. Because the fact is that once that's all locked together, when you can hear the contour, your physical actions are just executing on, off, on, off, on, off, and it's all flowing, and you can feel that flowing nicely, and it sounds like the record, or it approximates the record. If you double this up and start bringing upstrokes in, there's no problem. You have no problem. Because the upstrokes, remember, are embedded in the downstrokes. The downstrokes are exactly the same as what you've already played. This is the next thing you have to do, There are just simple, even though I talk for a long time, it's just to get you to the point where everything is the pulse is always on downstrokes, always. So when you bring upstrokes in, the pulse is still there, hasn't changed. So when you do, but it makes the thing feels completely different. So you have to keep repeating it till it don't catch you out anymore. So instead of if you change the strum to no different to that, and you have to. When I say that, you have to look at this mistake there, section of video, and look at the 2 different right-hand things, and see the one embedded in the other, and see the other one. You have to be able to relate the 2. Everything has to become. The descriptions are all. You have to You have to eventually bypass the description. Go straight to the sound and the action. So yeah, and when you do, if you go through this process, and again, the reason for this the video is to highlight the 2 particular things: downstroke, pulse, and when you bring the upstrokes in, the pulse is still on the downstrokes. The upstrokes just go in between, and the right hand dictates when you change in the left hand. that's a lot of work, but it's the only way you're going to get anywhere, to actually be playing with a flow as opposed to just stepping through things.